But otherwise, you can't get out of the share. It's a really big problem if you don't pay up at the end of the month. So that
what happens if you don't pay?
I think what happens is, let's say you've got a guy and they're 3 months into it and he's lost his job and they can't pay. Then,
and this goes on all over Thailand.
All over Thailand, everywhere. You know, it's a bit like some Thais wear gold around their wrist or around their neck because they know they can walk into any gold shop and liquidate that into cash straight away. You know, it's a bit like that.
What's the story, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Pete here from Thairish Times. My guest today, Paul Wallace. Many of you know him already. I've interviewed him actually 12 times on the channel so far, and there's more to come as well. So Paul has spent nearly 40 years in Thailand now at this stage, and in this video he's going to talk about the Thai share system, which is an informal savings and money lending system for many Thai people that don't have access to financial services. So if you can imagine someone working down the market, their salary isn't guaranteed, they're very hard for them to get a bank loan, so they have kind of problem solved that issue by creating this Thai share system, and it's all going to be explained in this video. Paul's going to explain how it operates and of course what the risks are, because it's very much unregulated. So yeah, let's get straight into the video, folks. Hope you enjoy this type of content. You know, it's money, it's finance, but it's not a story like, you know, you see on other channels where it's like my bar girl wife stole all my money. It's not that type of content. It requires you to kind of think a little bit, and it's money and it's finance, and I'm interested in that kind of stuff as well. So hope you enjoy it, folks. Let's get straight into the video. Cheers.
I wonder how, is it on?
You're on now, yeah.
I wonder how many guys who've got Thai wives or girlfriends here who've wondered what the hell this Thai share is. So I thought I would enlighten people, because it is rampant across Thailand. Most people are into the shares. So I would like to explain exactly how that works.
Yeah, because I've met a couple of guys that spoke about it, and
right.
It is kind of, they've, like you said, married to Thai women, and it's quite popular in the suburbs of Bangkok.
Yeah, you might have your Thai wife say, hey, I need some money for the share, and you'll be like, share? What's this share? You know, so yeah, how it works is, I guess you could call it a cooperative money lending scheme, right? So let's work this out now with numbers, right? Each share group has so many hands, yeah? And so let's say, for example, that each hand is 5,000 baht, yeah? Now, the number of months that this share will run has to be equal to the amount of people who are in it, yeah? So let's say you've got 12 people, and it's a 12-month share, yeah? Everybody has a 5,000 baht share. So, the end of the first month, oh, and by the way, the person who holds the money is the banker, and that has to be somebody who you trust. You know, typically, through my experience, the share banker has always been somebody with 2 or 3 properties, you know, somebody that's, you know,
somebody that doesn't necessarily need the money as much as other people do, yeah?
Yeah, because the share has 2 objectives. One, it can allow you to borrow money or get money quickly. But 2, if you don't take your share, when the term is up, all the interest that's been gathered through this is distributed evenly between the amount of shares that didn't take it. Yeah. So, okay, so let's start. The end of the first month, they all meet. Yeah, so you've got 12 people. You might have 6 people with 2 shares each, but you've got 12 hands. And so they all pay 5,000 baht, 60,000 baht, yeah. And at the same time, somebody has to take their share. Yeah. Somebody might want it. Oh yeah, we got to get the car fixed, or, you know, I've got to pay the school fees. So, if more than one person wants it, then they have to bid how much interest they would pay. Yeah. So one guy might say, well, okay, I'll put a bid of 400 baht. That means I'll pay 400 baht extra every month to get my share now. Somebody else might say 550. But at the end of the day, somebody has to take it. And if nobody wants it, then you draw straws. And the short straw has to take it, right? So let's say you take yours on the very first month, yeah? So you've now got 60,000 baht, yeah? But every month you have to pay 5,000 in, plus what you said you would pay as interest. Could be 200 baht, 300 baht. So you've borrowed this money, and now you've got to pay it back every month. And every month, when the money's paid in, somebody has to take the share. And quite often you'll get, if it's a big share, quite often you'll get 5 people who want to cash it. So they all have to write down how much interest they pay, hoping that they get the highest, otherwise they don't get it. So it can really bump the interest up, you know, and the interest is shared at the end of the day by those that hung on to their shares.
So the people at the very end.
Yeah, they make money. Yes, they make money, and so there's quite a lot of people who are only in it because it makes more interest than they get in the bank, and there are others who are in it because they might need some money sometime. Yeah. Now, and there are big ones. I've been part of 36-month shares, 3 years, where there's 36 shares at 10,000 baht a share.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's how it works.
So what would be the final pot then? You know, roughly.
You could get interest as much as 60, 70,000 baht on top. Could be interest with one like that. And that might get shared out between 3 people. So they might end up with 20k each on top of, you know, the money that they paid. And they obviously then they'll get their money back. At the end of the share, you get your money back if you haven't cashed it in. But you also get a share of the interest, the profit.
And does the banker usually hold on to this in cash?
Yes, usually, yeah. There have been occasions of a share banker actually doing a runner, you know, but very rare, very rare. So I mean, we're in one now. We've been doing one for, I don't know, 4 years. It's 12 months each time. We have 2 shares at 5,000 each, you know. And if all of a sudden, you know, I need the car fixed and it's going to cost me 15 grand or whatever, I can just get the 60,000 out.
What would happen, you know, worst case scenario, you pass away, you know?
Whoever gets your estate somebody would have to take over your share. Yeah. So they'd have to find somebody, if you hadn't taken it, the money. If you hadn't taken the money, I would think your money would be given to the husband or the wife of that person. So, okay, you know. But otherwise, you can't get out of the share. It's a really big problem if you don't pay up at the end of the month. So that
what happens if you don't pay?
I think what happens is, let's say you've got a guy and they're 3 months into it and he's lost his job and they can't pay. Then that person would find somebody else to take it over for them, and then they would have no rights to any of the money, but they might do a deal with that person and say, okay, look, I've paid in 15k already. Can you give me 10 or 12 and then you take it over? So I would imagine that's what happens.
And this goes on all over Thailand?
All over Thailand, everywhere. Yeah. You think about it. A woman who runs a market stall, yeah? Small business, yeah? She might have a bank savings account, but there's no way she can borrow money off the bank, you know, because her income's not guaranteed. Well, if she needs 20 or 30,000 baht in a hurry, that's one way of getting it, her share. You know, it's a bit like some Thais wear gold around their wrist or around their neck because they know they can walk into any gold shop and liquidate that into cash straight away. You know, it's a bit like that. You know.
It's a clever kind of strategy or clever way.
When you think about it, you know, there are no losers really, because the ones who are into it because you know, they might need some money at short notice, they've always got that option there. And the ones who are only in it because they want to make a profit at the end of the day, they also get a profit, you know. So it's a win-win situation as long as the banker is trustworthy.
And do they trust you being a Farang and getting involved in it?
I'm not involved, it's my wife.
You would be seen a little bit.
Well, no, you see, if you're a regular shareholder, you're not the banker, there's no trust involved. You go there every month and you pay your, however much it is, you pay it into the pot. And then when you want to take your share, you have to bid. So there's only trust really involved with the banker. only trust involved with the banker. And you'll find that most of these trusts, they'll pick somebody who's, you know, a Puyai Ban, or perhaps the wealthiest family in the village where they have 3 houses and 2 businesses. Well, they're not gonna run away for a couple of 100,000 baht. It's just not, you know.
But I'd imagine in poorer places in Thailand, there would be a risk of someone getting out of there.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously happened. I've never heard of it happening, but it obviously has.
Because for some of those people to have 200 grand,
Yeah.
to 200,000 Thai baht in your hand would be the most money they've ever seen in their
There are big
lives.
shares, you know.
Millions of baht.
There are shares where it might run for 3 years, 36 months, and it might be 20 grand a share. You know, and you might have one family who've got 3 shares in that one. You know.
I'm sure the government don't encourage this. They're not getting their pound of flesh, i.e. tax.
Yeah, you'd probably be right there. But, you know, for anyone who can't get credit for any reason, it's there. And for the Thais, you know, especially the families, I would say 8 out of 10 regular working Thais have a share somewhere. Yeah, they have a share somewhere. Let's say you needed the money before the end of the month. Then all the share people would be involved. And if you said, look, I got to pay this hospital bill or whatever, or I got to pay this fine, otherwise I go to jail. If I pay a little bit extra, can I take the share now before the end of the month? You know, but I'll pay that little bit extra every month. And everybody would probably say, yeah, okay. But it's a once a month meeting, and at that meeting, somebody has to walk away with their share. Not everybody can't say no, keep it in. Somebody has to take it. And we've been in a position where I think it was a 12-person one, and nobody wanted to take their share, so my wife drew the short straw. So okay, she just gets her 60 grand and sticks it in the bank.
Didn't touch it, just...
No, but then she's still got to pay that 5,000 back every month, plus the interest.
And like, how do they decide on the level of interest?
How many people are prepared to do it, and how much they can afford comfortably every month.
So that's all agreed, you know, person 2, person 3 is going to be an interest.
The smallest I've ever heard of is 12 months. That means there's 12 hands, and it might be 5,000 baht a hand. So every month, the banker is collecting 60,000 baht. Yeah. But banker's also given out 60,000 baht to one of those people, and they're then every month after that they're paying their interest, which might be 500, 600. So not only are you repaying your share when you take it, for the rest of the duration, you're paying that interest that you said you would pay.
But the interest is agreed before at the start?
No. The interest it's bidding, you know. Like, I mean, we've been in a situation where I said to my wife, she's going to the share meeting, and this is quite a while ago, and quite big shares, and I said to her, we want one this month. You know, she said, oh, I don't know, so-and-so wants one, and Sudha, she said she wants it this month, and so-and-so said that. And I said, well, just outbid them then. You know, and she came back, I said, how'd it go? She says, yeah, we got the 60 grand. I said, how much interest did you have to pay? 750. But everybody wanted it. So you're not allowed to see each other's bids, you see.
Oh.
So and that one woman who might think, God, me and my husband would go mad if I don't get this. So she'll say, I'll pay 600 baht a month. And then another one will say, 400. And another one will say 750. And then they all come in together, and the banker looks at them, 750, you've got it. So they get their share, and they have to pay the 750 baht there and then. And then every month after that, they have to pay 5,750.
Then who gets, at the end, the interest that's being acquired? Who gets that at the end?
The people who didn't cash their shares, the last people who didn't cash their shares.
So
money
they're in it.
split.
They're in it, like you said. They're in it for the interest.
They're in it to make money. Yeah. They're in it to make money.
And like, what kind of money can these people make off it? I mean, large sums.
Well, okay, let's crunch some numbers. Let's say it's a 3-year one, yeah? 36 months, 36 shares at 10,000 baht a share, right? So every month, 360,000 baht goes into the pot, yeah? And then as the months pass and people are paying interest as well, you could get as high as, I don't know, 30,000, 40,000 baht in interest. and then that might be shared between just 2 people or 3 people.
They're clever, aren't they, the Thais? Like, they
Yeah.
always have a way of just
Yeah.
making money, wheeling and
Yeah.
dealing. I mean, this doesn't exist in Ireland. Never heard of it existing in Ireland. But it's, like I said to you at the start, like, I've heard numerous people do it in Bangkok.
Yeah. I can tell you another interesting story.
Go for
I've
it.
been married 3 or 4 years, I suppose. My mother-in-law was a wonderful woman. I didn't have much of a dowry. I think it was 17,000 I gave her. But I made her a promise that I would look after her daughter, any children that we might have, and her, if possible, for the rest of our lives, their lives. So she's okay with that. And after about, I suppose, 3 years, my wife said to me, we've got to go back to home for a week. I'm like, why? She says, oh, Mother's she's had a new roof put on the house, so she's having a housewarming party. Okay. So we drive up there in the car, We get there in the afternoon, and it's going to be the next day. And all of a sudden, this big truck arrives, and they get this big tent off, and all these tables and chairs. And I'm sitting there thinking, because everybody's busy, my wife's busy, and there's a shop right across the road. So I thought, I'll do the right thing, I'll go and buy some beer. So I buy 2 cases of Chang, and I put them there. Mother-in-law. And I sat down, thought I'd done my bit. All of a sudden, a booze truck arrives, and they unload the whole lot. 25 cases of Lao Khao, 100 cases of Leo, 75 cases of Chang, and I'm like, holy shit. And I sat across the road at the shop on a little table there the next morning, watching what's going on. So they've got pigs have arrived, they're all being slaughtered out the back and all done, Women are all cooking, and Thai music is playing really loud, and there's a girl at the front of the porch with a great big book. And when people arrive, they go there and they give this girl an envelope, and the girl writes down figures on it. And so I said to my wife, what's going on there then? She said, well, okay. She said, if you're invited to a funeral, a wedding, a house-warming party, then it's customary for you to give money. Yeah. So let's say you came to my house-warming party, and you gave me 5,000 baht, just as an example, And a year and a half later, one of your parents died, so you're having a funeral. But when I go there to that funeral, because you'll invite me, I have to give you 5,000 baht. I have to give you more than you gave me. Doesn't matter how much more, but I have to give you more than you gave me. So if you've got one family, and they're all year long, they're going to weddings and funerals, and they're giving out all this, all these envelopes, it's all noted down.
Yeah.
And then when you have a gathering for any reason, my mother-in-law actually told me, she said, because I said, the new roof's really good. She said, yeah, thanks. She said, I couldn't have done it without the money I get for this, So she actually held the party to pay for the roof. Yeah. And it was a 3-day thing. It was really good. Everybody had a great time, I made the mistake of going around the back when they're slaughtering the pigs. And the first pig, they open the gate of this cage, and it comes out. And this guy's got a great big piece of wood, and bang, and he hits it on the head like that. And it just stands, and then they jump on it, and then they put it over the fire to burn all the hair off the animal. And they did that to one that I thought wasn't dead, so I took all their beer away. I said, no, there's 3 more pigs to kill. You got to promise me that pig will be dead before you put it on the fire. Gave them their beer back. It was awful to see. I never went back there again to see it, but that's how it works,
They beat it on the head to that.
Yeah, then it's a knife to the neck, lay it on the floor, and then they just collect the blood. Yeah. I didn't like it, but there you go. I understand how we consume animals. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but we do it, and as long as it's humane and as long as there's a reason for it, I'm okay with that. But but the party was great. And, I said to my wife, how much money did your mum get? She said, about 350,000 baht. But she's got to start paying out to all the events that happen with all the community. Once a week, you'd go to one. Once a week.
But you pay back more than what
yes, you pay
paid.
more. You pay more than what they paid when they came to your.
So like you said, some families must be having events often, yeah?
Yep, absolutely.
Make a couple of quid off it.
Yeah, it could be an engagement. Oh, my son's got engaged to this girl. They're going to get married soon. They'll have a party over. Because out comes the big book.
I've seen the Thais. I've been at events where I've seen the book and I've seen them looking at it, names, numbers, analysing it.
Yeah. My mother-in-law said, nobody really makes any money out of it. It's just the way that money in the community gets shifted around, So, yeah, it's another interesting thing that Thai people do. And I think it's great to do it like that.
Yeah, I mean, the share system is interesting. Thanks for breaking it down because it's for foreigners that are living in the central areas like Sukhumvit. They wouldn't really experience this.
No, but if they're living out in the provinces and they're bound to hear the word share, and it wouldn't surprise me if their girlfriends or wives are saying, hey, can you help me a little bit? I need some money for the share. So then now they'll know what the share is about. And as I say, the only risk is the banker. So the banker is always a respectable person, somebody who's got ties there. They might own a business or own a house. They normally would be property owners, and a person that everybody trusts. And of course, they'd stick the money in the bank, but they keep records of it all. They would, and there may even be a fee for the banker, a bit of money they get. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of the details.
Right, we'll leave that one there, Paul. We'll crack on with the other ones. Like I said, I've got a list.
Okay,
We'll do the other ones and get started on the next one, the sakyant, the tattoo.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about sakyant. You know what sakyant is, I presume?
Hold on, let me cut this out. Because I have to change the battery.
Right.